Well, I'm sitting here in my roadside accommodation. The traffic started at 5 o'clock. It's now about 6:30 or 7. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to tackle this road without getting run over. I might just wait until after 9. I'm pretty sure no one would be starting their shift after 9. The rain hasn't arrived yet, but the clouds have. You know, it keeps the temperature down, which I approve of. Yesterday did get a bit warm for me in the middle. Good thing that I had an air-conditioned library to go and sit around in. Well, I've just stopped here to have some lunch. No, not lunch, it's too early for that. A snack. And there are four major coal mines just lining this road here. Down south we have Saraji, one of the largest coal mines in the world by proven reserves, and it's one of the highest quality coals as well, useful for steel production and so on. And I was just reading about it. Apparently in 2012 the workers went on strike over working conditions, and then there was a union review where they actually determined that the workers were underqualified for the pay that they were receiving, and so they shut up pretty quickly so that they could not draw attention to that fact. Anyway, there are two more mines up this way. Up here about, I don't know, a kilometre or two. Yeah, we actually crossed one of the coal mines, I think. This is the car park for the Peak Downs mine. Got a sign there for the unions. Got some big trucks moving around over here, taking the coal. So I'm just next to where I took that last footage was just over there. This is the road. They've actually tunnelled underneath the mine. This is an extremely dirty place. Have a look at this guardrail. I think I'm going to have to put my glasses on because of all this dust, coal dust everywhere. Mine sites are real eyesores, aren't they? Just really ugly. Makes you wonder what they're going to do with all that refuse. I guess it's just going to sit there, isn't it? Nothing's going to grow on it. It's toxic. So a few quick statistics that I learned about coal in Australia. 27% of our carbon dioxide emissions come from burning coal. Australia exports 75% of its coal that it mines. That's about $47 billion of exports per year. And it employs some 40,000 people, and we account for between 30 and 40%, it varies by year to year, of the world export market for coal, which is a higher proportion of the market than Saudi Arabia has on oil. Well, that's the Peak Downs Highway, and that goes to Claremont and turns into the Gregory Highway. But then it also comes back here. This is the turn off to Moranbah. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. We'll find out when I get there and speak to some locals. Down here we have another coal mine. Not sure what that one's called. Well, I'm here in Moranbah, and that's how I've decided I'm going to pronounce it. I'm going to try and camp somewhere near here because it's going to be hard to find a campsite beside the road. because it's plains. It's like grassland. There's no trees and shrubs to hide behind. It's 50 k's from here to Coppabella, which is the next town that I'm going to. It's a mining town smaller than Dysart. And then it's another 50 k's from there to Nebo, which is another, well, it's a farming / mining town. It's kind of both. It existed before the mines, but it's been built up a lot by the mines. And I'm going to try and do both of those towns tomorrow. So do about 110, 120 k's, because after Nebo, we get into the forested national parks kind of areas before dropping down to Mackay. So I'm going to go camp somewhere there tomorrow night. It is meant to rain tonight and tomorrow. Not meant to be much though. 6, 8, 10 mil. Yeah, so I'm going to go and get some food now and then find somewhere to camp. Have an early night. I'm feeling really tired actually. I've come down to the creek or to the river in the hope of finding somewhere to camp. Seems like this will have to do. There are some people riding around on horses, but whatever. They don't seem bothered. Why would they? They probably don't own the place. I guess this will probably do. The advantage of having a one-person tent is, of course, that it fits in these sorts of places. The rain's just beginning now. I've got myself set up amongst this forest of what looks to be an invasive weed, but maybe it isn't. Well, it's morning now and the rain has well and truly kicked in. It reminds me of rain on a corrugated iron roof. It's really relaxing to listen to. I'm left with a question of whether to wait until this rain dies down, like it was quiet a few hours ago, for example, or whether to pack up the tent in the rain, which I've never done before. I'm planning to just go do a big day today while everyone's at work, ride from here all the way past Nebo. Nebo's the last mining town. If I can get past there and find a place to camp past there, that's the last mining town that I have to deal with. Although the highway into Mackay from there will have a lot of mining traffic too. Apparently the price of coal has gone up, and so they're kicking up production again, and they're moving a lot of heavy equipment in to here from Mackay on the roads. And apparently there are a lot of like police escorts with these wide loads because they're so big, and everyone just has to get off the road. I've just got to find a way to navigate all of that, but it shouldn't be too difficult. Well, I've just packed up my campsite and I'm just heading back into town, and there's actually a herd of wild deer over here. This is actually the first time I've ever seen them in the wild in Australia. Well, I'm just leaving Moranbah here, and I've got a really serious headwind to contend with. I'm not going to take any footage until this rain dies down. I'm off on my little trip called Finding Nebo. That's terrible. The town of Nebo. I wasn't going to take any more footage, but this one's too good to miss. I was waiting until I found some of this. I thought I'd come across it before now, but I haven't. The Adani coal mine, for those who don't know, Carmichael coal mine, is planned to be built in this council, about 100 k's from here. None of the major banks will finance it because they're not sure it's going to pay back, considering the way that coal is going. 50 years from now, what's it going to be worth, you know? Considering all of the investment in renewables and so on. Out here in coal country, they don't think like that. I can't do more than about 15 k's an hour in these winds, and with all these trucks on the road and so on, and there's very little shoulder on this road. It's pretty dangerous. I better just get on with it. So I'm at where I'm going to camp tonight. The rain has stopped, but the road was horrible. That Peak Downs highway, absolutely horrible. Actually, the shoulder was okay. The shoulder was maybe, I don't know, 80 centimetres for most of the way. There were some sections of a kilometre or so where there was nothing, but it was better than the Carnarvon, I'd say, on average. But gee, those drivers, especially the truck drivers for some reason. Truck drivers in the other parts of the country that I've been in have been really good drivers, with the exception of the Australian Army truck drivers, who have been the worst drivers on the road. But the mining truck drivers aren't very good either. Most of the mining workers were okay. I have a suspicion that a lot of the people around here don't know the law. They don't know that you're allowed to, and encouraged to, and in fact obliged to, cross double white lines if it means getting out of the way of a cyclist. They'll move over as far as they can in their lane, but they won't go outside of their lane. So it looks like well-intentioned, but ignorant. That's a problem, but it's not the worst thing because cars aren't too wide, whereas truck drivers who don't know that are a real problem. This is where I'm going to camp tonight. It looks like someone's driven here with some heavy equipment at some point, or maybe that was just to clear things. I'm going to just chance it. I don't think it'll be a problem. Today's been quite wet. It's meant to continue raining later on in the day as well. And it's wintry rain, which is kind of strange. It's actually quite chilly. Anyway, I'm going to set my tent up before this rain comes. Well, I made a mistake and camped next to the railway line. There have been about, I don't know, 6, 7 trains already this morning. Just coal trains like this one. There's 2 lines there. On the other line they, I think, have been doing repairs. Well, I've reached Nebo, sort of trying to stay out of the rain. The library's closed, being a Saturday. It's raining on and off today. I've looked at, Mackay has already received 79 millimetres this morning, before 9 a.m. So I'm just trying to minimise the amount of rain I have to ride through. I don't particularly like riding through rain. Oh, it's quite a chilly day. I didn't expect this for Nebo. And I went to the general store here. Very high prices, but again, you can do that when there's no competition, and it's kind of just a pass-through town. I don't think the people who live here probably shop in Moranbah or in Mackay. Anyway, off to do that. Like I say, I'm not going to take as much footage as normal just because of the rain, and I don't want the camera getting wet. But yeah, there have been some really, really wide loads going down the highway that take up both lanes that I'd like to get some proper footage of, but it's a bit hard to with this rain, so. The mountains are getting to a respectable size now. Check this one out. mountains over there. Well, that's today over. It's been very miserable weather all day. I took some shots, but I took those shots when there were small breaks in the weather, allowing me to get my camera out. Most of the day has just been drizzle, and at times the rain's been actually quite hard. And all my clothes got soaked, so I've got my spare socks on now, and I've got my shirt hanging here, my socks up there. Made a little clothesline inside the tent. I'll just show you quickly what it looks like outside. I've actually camped up on the escarpment, Great Dividing Range. Show you roughly what it looks like out there. The weather's actually having a break right now, which is nice. Would have been nice if it did this back when I wanted to set the tent up. So tomorrow I'll get to just descend, and then it's roughly 20 kilometres to Sarina. Tomorrow afternoon I should be in Mackay. I've been told there's a free camping spot down at the harbour. Yeah, it's exciting because Mackay will be the furthest north I go. But yeah, riding in the rain has not been that much fun. It's actually been cold. My shoes are not as waterproof as they once were, so that makes the whole experience miserable. I mean, if your feet stay dry, it's much more fun. The best moment today, which I really wish I caught on camera, was racing a coal train. It was doing about 30, but it sped up to 40 while I got hills, so it won. But I got to ride alongside that for about 5, 6, 7 kilometres, and that was pretty cool, actually. Worst moment was, yeah, getting wet feet. And putting the tent up in the rain, that was no fun either. Anyway, off to Sarina tomorrow. It's meant to be raining again, so bleh. Well, I've packed up. There was a small break in the weather, which is still continuing now, allowing me to put my things away. Everything is wet. My socks are wet, my shoes are wet, my shirt is wet. So I know there's a dry cleaners in Mackay, but looks like tonight I'll have to find a way to get comfortable. Yeah, it's pretty similar in altitude, really. Looks like we've got a few hills and stuff down there, and then onto the beach. If this is the dry season, gee, it must get wet. That looks like sugarcane. This railway line is remarkable in how thin the rails are. It makes me wonder if just mini trains go on it. But I expect it was probably put there to transport the cane. Anyway, the weather down here is just perfect. I can understand why all the people want to live on the coast. Well, I've reached the bayside town of Sarina. We've got some pigeons. And I've actually found that my frame bag here was full of water. I've tipped it out now. But actually filled up overnight, which is not good. I didn't expect that from an Ortlieb product. When I close the zipper, these don't actually mesh properly together. I think that the water could have gotten in there, see, like that. I think the zipper's stuffed with that. So that would probably be how it happened. I don't know how I can repair that zipper, but it's a waterproof zipper. So I talked to the guy at the checkout in the Woolworths where I bought the food, and he said that he's ridden once on the Bruce Highway here to Mackay. He said it's pretty good, but and the drivers are pretty good, and there are just a couple of sections that aren't so good in terms of the width of the shoulder. So it's generally pretty good according to him. I've just been offered accommodation for tonight, which has been very nice, by Cecilia and Mike, two retirees from West Mackay. So I'm going to stay there tonight, hopefully. Gone and bought some food, and I'm going to go over the road there and get a pie from the pie shop. Well, I'm just coming into Mackay here, nearly there. I decided to take the Bruce Highway because it had favourable winds and was much shorter. I was getting up around 40 k's an hour, 45 at points. And Mackay is where all of the heavy equipment for the mines is shipped in. Down the end, a bunch of mining bulldozers, so on and so forth. Got a big heavy dump truck here, a couple of others back there, and then here we've got another bulldozer, and then a really big dump truck up the back. This looks like it would be one of the yards where this sort of stuff is serviced. Yeah, so I'm just going to go and head into Mackay. It's about 2:30 now. I'll head into Mackay and then get something to eat and go and sit by the beach. Well, I've made it to destination Mackay. It's cold. Well, not too cold, but it's chilly. Plenty of wind, not very sunny, not exactly the best beach weather unless you are a kite surfer. A few of them out here. Mackay is an industrial city. It's got a population of about 80,000. The council's done a really good job with on-road bike paths. Almost every street has them. So credit where credit is due. Not so many off-street ones, but there aren't that many cyclists at the moment. Quite an interesting place, and like I say, I've been offered accommodation for tonight, which is very kind. So I'll go along there at about 5 o'clock, a few hours from now. That's over in West Mackay. I'm in East Mackay at the moment. Here's the beach. Got a lot of driftwood. I'm going to hang around here, I think, for 2 days, and then turn around and head back down the coast to Rockhampton, Gladstone, Bundaberg, Brisbane, etc., Newcastle and Sydney. And that'll take another month, I think, to get back to Canberra, although the winds will probably be stronger going back, so it may take longer.
While I was on the beach, I figured I should take the opportunity to set up a photo of me and the bike. One of my friends told me he reckoned it would be one to show the grandkids in 50 years, which I thought was pretty funny. It felt quite surreal that I'd made it all the way to Mackay after thousands of kilometres through central New South Wales and Queensland. I don't think I'd expected myself to make it, to be honest. I had a few hours to burn before I could head over to Mike and Cecilia's place, so I explored the Esplanade and had a chat with a few locals, using the opportunity to learn more about the area. Mike and Cecilia cooked me dinner and quizzed me on my trip while I showed them a selection of the best photos I'd taken. It was a lovely evening all round, and I felt especially privileged to have been invited into their home like this. They told me that they felt it was only right to invite me over and that they'd want people to do the same for one of their own sons.
I've spent the evening hanging out with Mike and Cecilia. I had a lovely shower. I smelt really bad, and now I don't. Did some washing, which was just the best thing. Oh, how good it feels to have that done. I'm quite tired. I'm not used to being up so late. 10 o'clock is now late. When you bike tour, you get up and you go to sleep with the sun. 4 hours past my bedtime almost. Anyway, tomorrow, yeah, just off to do some jobs. I want to go and buy a proper USB cable, go and visit some bike shops, or one bike shop, we'll see, just to get the headset looked at, buy a mirror and buy some gloves. My headset's kind of halfway to being frozen. And then I just want to go and hang out at the library, honestly.